It was being violently shooken awake by my father because they found me with a heroin needle, spoon, belt wrapped around my arm when they came home and found me passed out on the couch. That was my come to Jesus white light experience. Yep. 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 So,
Wow. Okay.
but
So what happened? Walk us through.
yeah, so I had been using heroin for about a year and a half. I had been, IV injecting it. And I'd been trying for about, to answer your question a little bit, I've been kind of for about 6 months before that, trying to find a way to get help. But I didn't really want to, I was obviously, it was very shameful. And, last thing I want to do is tell my parents I'm shooting up heroin. So I was trying to find a way like, the drinking is worse than you thought, or, have a pain pill addiction or something. I was trying to find a way to like softly, ease them into like giving them a heads up that like I have this problem. And I just couldn't get the courage to do it. So I just kept continuing trying to do it on my own, do it on my own, do it on my own. And it was very uncharacteristic too, Nicolette, like this whole night, because they went bowling. They did every Friday night. I was in charge of watching my two youngest sisters. And so, the sisters went to bed, and for whatever reason, I never did it in the living room of the house. It was really weird. I would always do it in the bathroom or in my bedroom in privacy. And I did it, and I just passed out, of course they thought I overdosed and was dead when they found me.
Welcome to Your Wordless Podcast, the space where we redefine success, self-worth, and transformation. I am Nick Nieras, the soul-centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self-mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now let's dive in.
Are you stuck in a job that you don't love, feeling like you're meant for more? It is not in your head, it is in your soul. I am Nick Nieras, and I help high achievers like you break free from burnout, rewire self-doubt, and build a life aligned with purpose through coaching, hypnotherapy, and soul activation. Because let's face it, real wealth isn't just about money. It is about a aligned and happy heart, mind, and soul. Now, remember, you are worthy and you are enough. Let's transform your life together. Visit www.thenicknierasholisticlifestyle.com to begin.
It's always good to talk about addiction, worthlessness, self-worth, self-hate, and overcoming those things, because I think a lot of people deal with it, even if they're not aware.
And they're very shy, or they keep it suppressed. So, Patrick, can you share with us, first off, right off the bat, what was it like growing up as a Patrick Casey Jr.?
Yeah, good question. So I grew up in South Florida in Pembroke Pines, and I have two younger sisters. I'm the oldest of three. I have two younger sisters. My parents were married, all through my childhood. They actually got divorced, but I was in my 20s when they got divorced. So I grew up in a, together household. But there was, abuse, alcohol, drinking, fighting, violence, hostility, aggression, passive aggressiveness, all those kind of things, people pleasing, manipulation, all those things. I grew up a kind of a class clown. And I think looking back now, a lot of that was my coping mechanism for my childhood. And it was kind of an escape. And you see a lot of comedians, Robin Williams is really famous for, being depressed and suicidal and having, battled with alcoholism. So a lot of comedians struggle with depression. I think comedy is kind of an outlet. It's a way of wearing a mask and not showing people who you are. So I think looking back, that was just kind of a coping mechanism of mine, was to be kind of a goofball, class clown. I got in trouble all the time. I always say I had to sit next to the teacher's desk in class growing up. I was like, always had to get pointed out. And, back in the days we had chalkboards. So I had to like write on the chalkboard, and I had to dust the erasers after class. And, teachers would pass on like, hey, watch out for Patrick, and watch out for his son, or his best friend, Sean, who grew up behind me. Watch out for Patrick and Sean. They're real troublemakers in the next grade. So get ready for them. So, I just kind of had that reputation. I ran off a lot of babysitters. I tormented babysitters. God bless them. When they would come babysit us while my parents would go out, I'd run out the neighborhood, and I was just kind of a troublemaker. But, I was also a very loving kid. I had a lot of friends. I didn't really have that feeling like a lot of people in addiction talk about. I didn't have that feeling like I didn't fit in. That didn't really happen for me until later in high school. I started kind of having those feelings of like, why do I feel different? How come, I don't feel like I have the manual for being a person, a human being? I feel like everybody else got that manual, but I didn't feel like that as a kid. That probably didn't happen until 14, 15 years old. I fit in, I played sports since I was 4 years old. So I just, everybody came to our house to play games and, have sleepovers. So I don't really know where it happened, but somewhere around 10 years old, I started smoking cigarettes. Like a fun time for me was walking around shopping plazas looking for little cigarette butts and smoking those that somebody
Oh
else
my
had
God.
already smoked. That's like what me and a couple of my friends did, and, both my parents smoked and drank alcohol pretty heavily. And so I just, I think I was just kind of looking for escape, looking back because of my childhood abuse. That at the time, I can kind of now looking back, I can kind of summarize it as I just didn't feel safe. I didn't feel secure in my childhood. It was very confusing, right? Like I would have a blowout. I would get, physically abused, verbally abused. And then, my parents, whichever one it was that did the abuse, would apologize the next day. Everything was good, but then that cycle would start over again. And so, I would get up in the morning and like go into the kitchen and kind of wonder like, okay, what kind of mood is mom
You're
in today?
tiptoeing all the
Tiptoeing, like,
time.
do I have to people please? And so somewhere I got the message, which they didn't do on purpose, but somewhere I got the message that like I'm responsible for everybody. I'm responsible for people's feelings because, if somebody's angry or upset, I'm internalizing that going, well, what did I do
That's,
wrong? What did I
yeah.
say? Right. So you can probably relate to that. It's very common with people who, like your title says, worthless. I feel
Mm-hmm.
worthless because I'm responsible for everything. And today I've come to know that like you're responsible for yourself. I'm responsible for me. And we can, experience things together. But back then I thought everything revolved around me. The world revolved around Patrick, right? So if
Yes.
if you're having fun, it's because I'm being fun. If you're not happy, it's because I did something
It's
wrong.
because, yeah, it's because of me, or I ruined the mood or something
Yeah.
of that. Oh, Patrick. Okay. There's so many things that I want to unpack there.
Yeah. It's a lot.
So it's a lot. It's a lot. But okay, I read your profile on Podmatch and it said at 19, you you were sober since 19. Like, what was the moment that you said that made you say, I can't live like this anymore?
It was being violently shooken awake by my father because they found me with heroin needle, spoon, belt wrapped around my arm when they came home and found me passed out on the couch. That was my come to Jesus white light
Wow.
experience. Yep. 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 So,
Wow. Okay.
but
So what happened? Walk us through.
yeah, so I had been using heroin for about a year and a half. I had been, IV injecting it. And I'd been trying for about, to answer your question a little bit, I've been kind of for about 6 months before that trying to find a way to get help. But I didn't really want to, I was obviously, it was very shameful. And, last thing I want to do is tell my parents I'm shooting up heroin. So I was trying to find a way like, the drinking is worse than you thought, or, I have a pain pill addiction or something. I was trying to find a way to like softly, ease them into like giving them a heads up that like I have this problem. And
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't get the courage to do it. So I just kept continuing trying to do it on my own, do it on my own, do it on my own. And it was very uncharacteristic too, Nicolette, like this whole night, because they went bowling. They did every Friday night. I was in charge of watching my two youngest sisters. And so, the sisters went to bed, and for whatever reason, I never did it in the living room of the house. It was really weird. I would always do it in the bathroom or in my bedroom in privacy. And I did it and I just passed out, of course they thought I overdosed and was dead when they found me.
Hi, I'm Nick Nieras, your host of the Your Wordless podcast. Now, if this real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait. Your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
They came home from bowling. So I think I manifested it looking back. Like I really think I manifested this whole occurrence to happen because like I said, I was really, really desperate. I had a friend that went to rehab and I was trying to pick his brain a little bit about it. But of course he was shooting up heroin with me. So he wasn't really the best confidant, but I was like, man, I really like Chris, I want to get some help, man. Like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, you don't want to do these things and those things. And you don't want to go to, AA meetings and you don't want to go to rehab. And so he's basically talking me out of everything. Right. And
Mm.
I think I manifested that to happen. Just thank God before I died. because who knows what would have happened. Um, I was a year out of high school. I was doing really bad in college. Obviously, it's hard to shoot heroin and do well in school. Thankfully, I think that my parents made me stay home that first year of college because they knew I couldn't be trusted to go off to college. So I had had too many run-ins at school and too many, bad things
Mm.
happen.
Wow. Okay. So it's like you were desperate to call for help. The universe were trying to send you some signs, but then you'd find a way or find excuses to not heed to those signs. And then somehow, okay, enough is enough. You're gonna do it here, right in front of your parents, and then
Yep.
there you go. Whatever
Yep.
happens, whatever happens after that, you made the call, you manifested them, right? And so, okay, 19 years of age. So, what have you done since?
So many things, so many things, so many things. So like you read in my bio, I work in substance abuse. I've been a nurse practitioner for going on 8 years now. And down here in Florida, if you have enough experience, you can get what's called an autonomous license. So you can actually work for yourself. So you don't have to work under a physician. So you kind of, in some terms, act as a physician. I have my own DEA license. I can write prescriptions, order tests. I have my own primary care practice that I've had on the side for a little while. So I kind of work for myself. So to be where I was and to do what I'm doing now, that doesn't happen. That makes no sense
No, no.
to give me the ability to write for prescriptions and to treat another human being and to put someone else's life in my hands. Like that does that. I'm like, do you know who I am? Every year,
Exactly. Like
every time
I
I renew
use
my license.
you have that crisis within yourself. It's like, oh, am I now? That's also one thing that I would talk about.
Yeah.
To feeling like a fake, right? Imposter syndrome. Like,
Hmm.
do you have those thoughts coming up to
Well,
you
yeah.
when you are talking to people or
Of
administering all
course.
those?
Yeah. Whether it's helping people in the substance abuse, because I don't really talk about my recovery because I know through my experience and from getting feedback from other patients of mine that, they don't want somebody in my position talking recovery to them, at least not right off the bat. They're looking for some medical help. They want help with their withdrawal symptoms. They want to make sure they don't have a seizure. They want to make sure they're not going to die from their sickness. They want to know, their blood pressure, diabetes is going to be well controlled. So like I try to find my moments to interject some kind of recovery talk, if you will, without disclosing my own recovery. But it comes out from time to time. And it's over the last couple of years, I've been a little bit more just kind of loose with like, you know what, the hell with it, and just out there. Cause I figure it's not going to hurt. I'm only going to help more people. So I've been less guarded about that and a little more open, which has allowed other cool experiences to happen with people coming to me and asking for some help. Even if I run into them in recovery meetings or out in public, like, oh, hey man, you were my doctor, my practitioner over at the place and blah, blah, blah. And wow, you're sober. You go to these things too. And so that part's kind of cool. And then to see them like have a year sober. We just had this one guy that was in and out for 4 or 5 years, had seizures all the time coming off of alcohol and other drugs that he was doing. He just picked up a year chip the other day. And I'm like, I never would have put money on this guy even being
No.
alive a year later, let alone sober. So like that's a
Wow.
lot of cool stuff. And people come back to the rehabs to work. They're 6 months sober, a year and a half sober. It's like I treated these people and now they're like kind of on my side of helping the other new people that are coming through here. So it's a really cool experience and not anything I had in the cards, especially when I was going to nursing school and then nurse practitioner school. I never even fathomed that I would work in substance abuse because I was working in the ER, working in trauma, and that was just kind of my thing. And a whole weird, kind of like the way that I got sober at 19, just a whole bunch of weird circumstances happened for me to fall into what I do today. And it's just such a blessing that it's nothing that I would have written. So,
It's a full circle moment for you. Okay. I want to ask, even with years of sobriety and therapy, you said in your profile, okay,
mhm.
in Podmatch, I may not have said it in the introduction, you felt like a wounded child. What did that version of you need that you never got back then in hindsight?
Yeah. So, I mean, I took antidepressants for a little while when I was in my early 20s. I did therapy a bunch off and on. And for some reason, a few years ago, I just kind of hit another emotional, spiritual bottom. And, I went to work with a life coach, if you will. And, I kind of like had kind of negative thoughts and connotations about this whole life coach thing. So I went and there's a whole circumstance. If you want the story, I can give that to you. But I ended up working with her, and it
I would
just
love to.
has completely, yeah. So my fiance, we've been together about 8 years. We're getting married next month, actually, in July. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. So we were dating, we were together 4 or 5 years up to this point. She had been doing some work with this lady out of Southern California. Her name's JJ Flazanes. She was doing work over Zoom.
I love her.
You probably know her. You've probably even
I
interviewed her.
her once.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
she's fantastic. So she was putting on this live event, and Caitlin is like, "Hey, I want to go to this event," but she's a very introverted person and she's kind of shy. She's like, "Would you come with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I've been sober, 19, 20 years at that point. I'm open-minded. Maybe I'll get some self-help or something out of it. So we go over there, and I got like way more out of it than Caitlin did. I just got completely cracked open and broken down. So by the end of the whole weekend event, I just admitted in this group of people that like, I don't love myself. And I looked over at Caitlin and I just said, I want to love me like you love me. I want to look at myself the way that you look at me. And I know that I can't love you until I love myself. I can say I love you and feel that I love you and do things that are loving, but I can't really fully be in this if I still feel these ways. I'm like, why the hell do I still, despise myself at times and talk negatively about myself and beat myself up? And well, duh, it all comes down to childhood stuff that I thought I had worked and fixed and everything and healed, but it's still there. I still had animosity towards my parents, especially my mom. It was a big, difficult relationship for me my entire life, let alone sobriety. And that's something that happened back in this past October that I did because of work with JJ, that I've really healed that relationship. And we've like just, my mom and I've just like gotten so much closer and better
Oh my
together.
God.
And she opened up and cried about a bunch of stuff. And it's all because of the work I did with JJ for a couple years, which again, full circle, is why I wanted to I do coaching now to help other men. Cause I'm like, well, why don't I, can I help other guys who don't have addiction problems? Like, yeah, of course. Cause men struggle with all the same stuff. They may not have the problem with drugs or alcohol. They probably have self-destructive, other behaviors that they do, self-worth issues that like, hey, let's talk about this stuff. Cause as men, as you know, Nicolette, we don't talk about that stuff. We're told not to talk about that stuff. We have to be men and provide and fight wars and battles. And you can't feel bad about, killing another man in battle. You have to like do it and move on. And we just kind of repress and shove that stuff down. So now,
Talk to
maybe
us
we can
about that
help.
moment. I want to zoom in on that. You don't love yourself. What was going through your head at that time?
So I'm sitting there with a microphone in my hand in front of like 40 other people who I don't know. And I just started, JJ said, what did you get out of this weekend? And I said, I don't love myself. I still don't like the person I see in the mirror. And I stay busy and have all these accomplishments and accolades to avoid myself. I can't be quiet. I can't just sit still with myself. I have to stay busy. I'm a busy, 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 busy person. And, I'm an Aquarius. I'm very heady and thinky and airheady and da 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 da, right? It's like for me, it was about like, now I know I need to be grounded. The treatment for an Aquarius like me and who's all over the place and all in my head. I don't live in my feelings. I don't live in here. I live in my head. For me, the fix for that is to be grounded. And so I just started crying in front of these people. And I was it's just blubbering like, I don't love myself. This is terrible. It just doesn't make sense. I'm, whatever, 38, 39 years old at the time. And I've been sober. I've helped, hundreds, if not thousands of people, with getting sober, and everybody loves me and, says all these great things about me, but I can't accept compliments. I deflect everything positive that comes at me. I just deflect, push it away. I'm like the yeah, but guy. If I get a compliment, I'm like, yeah, but. So that was a lot of the work I did with JJ, was accepting compliments, saying thank you, and taking a deep breath and like breathing that in when somebody gives me a compliment, and bringing it in. And she calls it milking it. I milk it, man. I just milk those compliments now, and the positive things that people say. I don't, have a
Hold
negative
back.
twist on it. Yeah. Yeah.
I love JJ. Her work, it's about uprooting all the root causes.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I love when you told me about your relationship with your mom, and that was I think the biggest challenge for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much with your dad though, right? You had
No.
issues with your mom. And I want to ask you, which one's easier, getting sober or loving yourself, and why?
What a question. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. You have to, you really have to you have to start loving yourself to get sober and stay sober. I mean, getting sober is hard as hell. Probably staying sober in that first year was even harder, because it's one thing to get sober because, we always use the term your ass is on fire. So like it's easy to get sober, you get pushed into it. But eventually all that stuff kind of calms down after a couple weeks or a few months. And it's like, okay, well, now the heat's off me. Now what am I going to do?
But
And that's
but
and that's where the self-love starts to kick in. Like, okay, am I worth it? So that's what I talk to other guys about. Like now I have to not show you and everybody else, I have to show myself that I believe I'm worth staying sober. And so that's through my actions. Am I eating like crap? Am I gambling? Am I using other women? Am I, spending money crazy that I don't even have? Am I accruing debt or whatever the case is? So I can still do destructive things even though I'm sober now. And that's all that self-love and self-worth piece of the puzzle. And I can still
yes,
get off track today and find myself and, oh, and I'm buying a cookies and cream Hershey bar again. And like, it's okay to treat myself once in a while, but did I just have like a Dairy Queen Blizzard 3 days this week or something? So I have to like catch myself. Oh crap. Have I not, did I stop going to the gym? Has it been like 5 days since I went to the gym, or whatever my hobbies are? Or have I not been like, meditating like I was and doing my visualizations and my gratitude journals and calling people to get the positivity? And yeah, I get off track like anybody else. And then I pay the price. I have to beat my head against the wall and then go, okay, let's get back on the train and let's keep going again.
I love that you're so vulnerable and so open and honest. Thank you for that,
Of
Patrick.
course.
I wanna ask you, can you share with us what was it like working with men with all this self hate? What is your process?
So I try to find out, what is it you want to get out of this? So what are your struggles?
Mm-hmm.
Because just like sobriety, if you haven't hit the bottom, then you're not going to be willing to do the work at the end of the day. If your wife or your kids are on your butt and they said, hey, go talk to Patrick, he can help you with, you know, whatever the case is, you're not the same guy you've always been, or, you're really letting things go. You're getting these health issues. You're not taking care of yourself. So I try to figure out first, like, have you hit a bottom yet? And if so, what are you willing to do about it? Because then I know, because I don't want to waste your time and take money from you if it's not going to benefit
You're
us.
not ready for the change, or
Because
if
what's
you
going to
don't
happen,
want to change.
you're going to say, oh, that guy was full of it and, it didn't work and it didn't work. And I'm going to go tell everybody it didn't work. So it's like, why would I even do that? Like,
Mm.
I want to maintain a good reputation as somebody who's helping, not just taking money from people. Like, I want to be able to help you. So I also try to do stuff like JJ did with me, which was like, I really like the astrology piece of stuff, but and not like,
I love it too.
not like the horoscope and prediction, but I like the astrology with the personalities. So I love
Yes.
that part. And so
Yes.
finding out like why I'm emotional, how I, process emotions, my spirituality. Again, like I said, am I more of an earth grounded person? Am I a fiery person, passionate? Am I
You're in your
watery
head
feeling?
all
Am
the
I in my
time.
head? And like, it was funny because my group with JJ, my first group I did with her, there was like 5 of us and 4 of us were all,
All air signs.
all air signs. So we were all
Yeah.
like, our
Mhm.
conversations were all just like a bunch of ADD people, but it worked well. And then we had the one lady who was a very earth sign. So it was just like very grounded.
She
And
she
it was
grounds
like,
all of you.
we all
Okay.
needed to do
Come back.
opposite,
Yeah.
So I really love that part. So I always get the information from the guys. Like I go through their natal chart and I tell them like, I'm not an astrologist or anything. I just want to like go over some of these characteristics and personality traits and see if if it resonates with you. And a lot of times they're like, yeah, that makes sense. And a lot of stuff I see in there is like, if it doesn't resonate with me, maybe that's because I'm keeping myself from getting to that point, right? Like, say in my chart, it says I'm really more of a leader and somebody who's very progressive, but I'm always working these jobs where I'm just a yes man and following people around. Well, guess what? No kidding. You're like miserable at your job and you hate your work and you want to go work for yourself because that's what you're supposed to do. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. So I kind of like that part of it. And, the other stuff about like, how you, cause I always wonder like, why do I meet some people and like, it just don't click with them. I don't hate them or anything, but like, why? It's like, oh, because maybe they're a Leo and I'm an Aquarius and like, they don't typically get along that well. Or like I was married once before. My ex-wife is a Scorpio. Well, Scorpios and Aquarius do not get along. But
It's
hey, we
funny.
tried.
It's funny. My sun sign is a Scorpio, but my North Node is an Aquarius. So
Yes.
I need to be in the humanitarian side and
Yep.
going out there, be innovative, be as quirky as I can, as weird as I can. But that's my calling.
Well,
And
it's
I love
funny.
that.
So Caitlin, my
Uh-huh.
fiance, we are opposite. So I'm Aquarius, she's Cancer. North Node is, so she is to become an Aquarius and I am to become a Cancer.
Shoot.
So we are the complete opposite. So like
So
we
you
are
guys are
going to continue to
yeah.
balance each other.
Exactly. Oh my God. I
Isn't that
love the
funny?
part when you said it's so funny because okay, I had one lady come up to me and she said, "Oh, Nick, I don't know you before, but I Googled and I saw you're into the spiritual thing. Because I do mindset coaching as well and spiritual integration." So she was like, "I don't know, but I'm gonna go and just." I reached out. So she reached out, clarity call, and she's Gemini. Right off the bat, she was like, blah, 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 blah. So I guess I'm a Scorpio and I listen, right? And you know, when you've done a bit of work on yourself, you sit and then you let her talk. And so, you know what I'm going to do to you? What I'm going to do for you? I'm going to do your natal chart and I'm going to have it at least interpreted. So I gave it to her and she said, you know what? I have tried to do this for the longest time, but I could never understand the placements, you know, the Saturn, the meanings of but then this one made me understand myself so much better than I have been trying to. So she's gone through a lot of things as well. And before this, before a podcaster and before becoming a life coach, I was in a 9 to 5. So I was trying to pursue the safe route, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, becoming an accountant, yada, yada, yada. And somehow I got laid off last year and I got my divorce in 2019. So that was the start of my heart being cracked open, losing myself and trying to unlearn everything and relearn everything again. And it has been an amazing journey. And with her, and it's funny that now I used to read that about myself because I wanted to know, because I'm an impatient person. I want to know everything that I can and I want to be in control. We all like to be in control, right? But then I've learned to let go of the reins and then let the universe take, you know, on the other side, I do the best that I could. And on the other side of it, you take charge. And with that, I have been doing that on myself. And I've finally have attracted people who's actually resonating on the same, you know, frequency. And I want to say this is because I believe in the message. Don't look at the messenger so much, but look at the message. The universe is trying to speak. God, spirit guides, universe, they're trying to speak to you every moment. If only you're aware and if you're only just quiet with yourself. Now that's where sitting with yourself is important, because I think there's a study done before with kids or young adults. They were given a phone, they were not given any any phones, and then they were asked to sit in a room for just, I think, 30 minutes. They couldn't sit with themselves. Why? Because we are the hardest with ourselves. And when we're alone, a lot of thoughts come up, especially when when you have not done the work yet or you're in the thick of it. So I just want to say thank you, Patrick, for giving me that message today, the message that I need, that I'm on the right path. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we do wonder, because
Yeah.
it's how do you say, I don't want to say it's a lonely journey, but being an entrepreneur, it's alone. You know, you can feel alone,
Well,
especially when
alone. Yeah. And you don't have, a 9 to 5 steady paycheck, direct
right,
deposit
because
every 2 weeks.
exactly, exactly, because I'm so used to that. Been in for 15 years I've done that. So right now
It's uncomfortable. Yeah.
it is. But thank you. Me coming onto my show and then interviewing people, they give me a message that, okay, you're in the right path, Nick. Just keep going.
Yeah.
So thank you for that,
It's
Patrick.
helpful. Yeah. It's good to have that encouragement and, validation.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna pivot to another question. What are some examples of how your life looked before this inner shift, and how does it look like now?
So, I was working doing what I do now. And I was always, like you were saying, control. I came to find out I have a control to addiction. I'm addicted to control. So I was wanting to control how and, basically how and fast I got to work, how many patients I was going to see, how quick I was going to see them, and then move on to the next facility, and how fast I was going to see the patients there, and then be able to get all my stuff done so that I could do this thing that I did in the evening, so I could do my hobbies and enjoy myself. And so what I was doing was just running myself crazy, wearing myself out. And so I was getting very restless, very irritable. I was discontented with myself. So of course, what happened? I was, short patient with my patients. And everything's on my face. I put my heart on my sleeve. Like, it. If I'm frustrated, if I'm irritated, if I'm in a good mood, you know it. There's no question about it. Patrick's in a pissy mood today. So it just, it shows, right? And I'll kiss myself. I go, I could be an asshole again. Right. But I wasn't always nice about that. I was like, you stupid idiot, you know better than this. And so just kind of like that kind of person, and just kind of like fist clench, right? Like, oh, gotta go, gotta go.
Yes.
And what I came to find out, especially through the work I did with JJ, and she probably has done this with you, like her feelings and needs list, she has this paper.
Wow.
So it's like, now I can identify when I'm having a feeling, what exactly that feeling is. And then I can identify, well, I have a need that needs to be met. And so that's my frustration, is that I'm not able to get my need met. So now that I know, okay, I can pinpoint my feeling, I'm frustrated, I have a need, like say I have a need for space, maybe some independence. Well, now the third part is, how do I get that need met without you, Nicolette, or somebody else doing anything different? Because I have to take the power back, right? We always talk about empowerment. I can't be a victim anymore and be a victim to like making everything dependent on how you are and how you treat me and all that stuff. Like, I have to do it myself. So I have to find a way to get that need met. And so that means I have to sometimes like say something politely and gently and say, hey, look, I need some time for myself. Would you let me like do this and do that? And then also, guess what? Don't overbook yourself. Don't make too many commitments.
That's a good one.
Right?
That's a good one. Yes.
Because
yes.
the Aquarius in me wants to help the entire world. That's what I do, right?
Right
I want
here,
to help
right
everybody. Now. Right. It's like, no, let's like, what's reasonable? Because everybody can look at what I do and go, man, you're like just an all-star with, you do this. How do you have time for yourself? Like the hobbies that Caitlin and I have, they're like, you guys like, do you ever like watch Netflix? And I'm like, no, not lately. Like we don't just like veg out very much on the couch anymore. Like we're just go doing stuff. So I have to kind of find that balance. And so for me, what's been going on the last maybe 9 months, I've backed a little bit of work off. I've let a couple treatment facilities go and help some other people slide into my position and make sure they're well taken care of, and just say, I'm going to take a back step and, not trying to be a billionaire. I'm kidding. But like, I don't need to make all that freaking money, because it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. So like sacrifices have to be made. So like I can get by, I can manage life well. I don't need to kill myself like I was doing before. And guess what? My relationships are better at work. People think a lot more, highly of me. Not that I need them to, but they do. And I get a lot more compliments. I get a lot more good feedback, and I just feel better. And I don't have to like, have 16 cups of coffee a day anymore. And, like drive like a maniac. And I was having road rage episodes, Nick, like all kinds of stuff, like just a couple years ago.
I could imagine. I
was, JJ says like she's like, Patrick, you were like a pot of boiling water, and like the top was just ready to go. And all it would take is somebody cutting me off, and they weren't doing it on purpose. They don't know me from anybody else, but I'm taking it personal. I'm like,
you must have something against me.
Yeah. Why are you after me? They never even seen me before. And so it's just completely different. So now you said, like, now I don't internalize those things. I accept compliments when people give me compliments. And this one goofy thing that JJ had me do, which is hilarious and I love doing from time to time, is I bought a cape, like a superhero cape. And so I'll put that on sometimes in the morning while driving to work.
Oh my
She's
God.
like, do a little role play, a little costume play. Cause it's like, what the work you do is heroic work. You're helping people and saving people's lives. But for me, it's like you said, it's just kind of a job. It's what I do. I'm just used to doing that stuff. I've been, working I was a nurse, since 2008, no, 2004 or 5. And then I became a nurse practitioner. I've been helping people for, almost 18, 20 years in healthcare. So like, for me, it's just what I do. But I don't think about that in terms of like, well, actually like have these people's lives, they're dependent on me, like to do a good job and to be alert and pay attention and to be nice and, and stay up to date on education and all that stuff. I'm just working, making money. So like now it's like, yeah, every once in a while I'll throw that cape on while I'm driving. I'm sure I look like a fool, and people, if they can see through my windows, are probably like, is that guy wearing a cape? So it's like, whatever. So it
No,
helps,
but
it helps
you
kind
love
of
yourself now,
bring the
right?
child. Yeah. And it brings like the child
Exactly.
out of me.
I want to exactly that wearing a cape means you connecting to your inner child. Now, talk to us, Patrick. How important is reconnecting with your inner child again, and what does it look like with you right now?
Well, I had this visualization when I got sober. They would do this guided visualization in the halfway house I was living in, and it was all about getting in touch with your inner child. And I always had this visualization of me at this ballpark where I played soccer on the bleachers in Pembroke Pines, right down the road from my house. I used to ride my bike there and play soccer. And I had this visualization of me sitting on the bleachers, and like this like 5 or 6 year old version of me sitting with me on the bleachers. And nobody else is around, and just putting my arm around myself and telling myself everything's going to be okay. Like things are going to get hard, things are going to be really tough, but you're going to get through it. It's going to be difficult, but you're going to be fine. You're going to get through it just fine. Don't give up. Don't give up on anything and on anybody. And I would get emotional and I would cry. And like now I have that same image, but I don't feel like I don't feel as emotional now when it happened, when I think about that. Like I don't, like the hurt's not there. The hurt's not as strong as it was back then when I would have that visualization. It's not as penetrating, like it's healing. It's not gone, but it's healing,
It's
which is the
healing.
important part. So now, I think about myself and I think about the goofy class clown, and like I can still do
You
that,
can
and
exactly
it
without
doesn't it
you
doesn't have to be
masking.
a mask. It doesn't have to be a
Exactly.
mask. I can have fun, and like it's okay, because I'll tell
Really
you,
have fun.
Nicolette, I can be very, very uptight and just serious, and this is life or death type of stuff, because it is. But it's like I need to wear recovery like a loose garment and just have fun, and you know if you're thinking like, it's like at me at 19, like I'm not going to be able to have fun again. I haven't even had a legal drink of alcohol yet at 19. So like, you're telling me like, what am I supposed to do for fun? How do I go to
Mm,
a concert? How do I go to movies? How do I go bowling and not have a drink, or have some weed, or have some drugs? Like, how do I, like, surely when I get married, I'm going to have champagne or something,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm 19 years old. I only have a girlfriend at the time, but I'm thinking about all this stuff, right?
All right.
So it's like now it's like now you just cut loose and have some fun. And now again, I haven't had a drink or a drug or anything in 22 plus years. I was just at a wedding in Miami,
Wow.
just throwing down. You would have thought I was hammered the way that we were dancing and having fun and soaking wet with sweat. We're just having fun. I'm just loving life and having fun and moving my body and just kind of getting down with it. And I don't need to have substances, which is like amazing. So like if you're thinking about getting clean and sober and you're like, oh, my life is going to be doom and gloom, well, then why would you? So I want you to be exposed to somebody who's happy, joyous, and free, because that's an attractive thing. And so like when I got sober, I hung out with guys who were, you know, having fun, playing around, going on conferences and retreats and going bowling and going to shoot pool and doing all this stuff, and going, we played music and go to open mic night and all this stuff. And like nobody had to drink or get high and, numb themselves. We could all just have a good time. Pure fun.
Pure
I remember
fun. Yeah.
having fun and laughing, being in the rehab. I was in rehab for 46 days. And I remember that first belly laugh. And now looking back, I know that's God, that's spirituality, that real pure belly laugh. You're not worried about how you sound. You're not worried about is somebody laughing at you instead of with you. You're just laughing to laugh. And it feels so good, because I did not have that for the longest time. For the longest time. The only time I would laugh is if like you fell down and hit your face or something. Like I was not laughing at anything because there's nothing to laugh about. I was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And like now I can laugh and it's a good time.
I don't know your story. I mean, I know your story now.
Now you
I've
do.
never, now I do. Yeah. I've never met you, but I'm so proud of the work that you've done
Thank
for
you.
yourself
Appreciate
and
that.
the people
Thanks.
that you help with. So talk to us, Patrick. What are the common themes that you see with men that you help? today?
A lot of it is naivety, if I could say that, like just naive to like all of this, to, you know, uh, this is all girly stuff. And, I
I
don't,
love that.
that's what
You're
women
breaking the
do.
stigma. Like, yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean go to yoga, or what do you mean go to a sound bath,
What
or,
do we meditate?
what do you mean
What do we
meditate?
be
And
mindful?
yeah, what do you mean this gratitude list,
No,
appreciation
here's
list?
the here's the one. What do you mean reading signs and get to
Yes.
know your personality? Because that's
Yes.
the girl. Oh, what's his horoscope today? But no,
Yes.
it goes so much deeper than
And
that.
that's how I try to break it down to him. Like, look, I'm not talking about horoscopes, not talking about who you're going to
I know how
marry
you
or what kind
you
of week
started
you're
it
going
off
to
with
have.
me. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I try to go through, like, especially the personality traits. Does this make sense? Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you? Like the kind of job you have. And like,
Right.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Or no, that's kind of, I don't know, but maybe. Okay, I can kind of see that. So it's a lot of getting through the prejudice, the prejudgment that we have as men, and doing this in the first place. And again, like, are they coming at this for themselves, just like sobriety, or are they doing it for somebody else? And I'm not going to say it's not going to work, because it still can, because if somebody pushes you into doing this kind of work, you can still get it. Because like, if you stick with it, the light bulb can still come off on at some point. And I say that to the people in the rehabs, just because your parents made you go there or the judge made you go there doesn't mean that you can't get sober and stay sober. Because if you stick with it, and sometimes the most defiant, obstinate, difficult ones end up being the most kick-ass, like awesome, just helping everybody because they get it and they have so much
Yes.
fire. So they go way from this end to the other end of the spectrum, like a pendulum. So now they're
Mm-hmm.
on fire and they're just killing it, loving and helping everybody. So like I've learned, used to, but now I've learned to not have any prejudgment on like what your motives are. So if
It's
you
a
don't
good
have
one.
pure good motives for working with me or working with you, Nicolette, it's like, that's okay. Cause you can still get it. Cause eventually if you stick
Yeah.
with it, the shift could still happen. But like I said, I don't,
Exactly. Being open, right? Just
yeah,
open to just
open-minded,
go
willing,
exactly open-minded, willingness and
and honesty.
just an honesty and being authentic,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Patrick. Okay, few more questions. What's one breakthrough moment you've witnessed in another man that still gives you chills?
So I'm helping a guy now who much older guy. He just turned 60 recently, and he's been sober for 24 years. He's been married, divorced 3 times. He kind of a hermit, kind of keeps to himself,
Yep.
but he's involved in recovery. But what happened was I first started working with him year and a half ago. And basically one of the first conversations we had when we really started getting into it, I pointed out, I said, okay, so you're going to a therapist once a week for years. That's a red flag for me, first off. And
Yes.
then I'm like, okay, have you guys ever talked about victim mentality? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, everything you're saying is just all victim thinking. It's all victim mentality. He's like,
The woe
my
is me.
therapist has never said that to me before. And for him, it just lit him up. It just set him off. And he was like, holy cow. So now and he says it to me all the time. He's like, I'll never forget when you told me about, you had the balls to tell me in one of our first conversations that I played the victim. And I was like, absolutely, dude. Cause that's what it is. Cause it's like, ask somebody how their vacation was, like, oh, it was great. But, I had this thing happen. And then I sat next to these kids on the airplane. And then when I got to the hotel, this, that, and the other. And then I had to stand in line all the time. And then I had to do this thing. And then this thing didn't work out. And I'm like, wait, you told me you had a good time on your vacation, but all I'm hearing is like 90% of all the crap, because that's where we live and where we focus, right? And as you know, with manifested and all that, it's an attraction. It's like I attract what I focus on. So
Mm-hmm.
guess what? No wonder your relationships aren't working out. Your job's not working out. Your car's always breaking down. This thing's always happening because you're just feeding off that negativity, and you want to go tell 100 people about it. So all you're doing is continuing to live that story and stay in that negative vibration, that negativity. And that's a lot of the work I do with JJ, and I'm sure you do, which is like getting on that higher vibration and tuning in that dial so I can receive all the good stuff that's out in the universe for me. Otherwise, I'm kind of like looking over here and I just it goes right past me because I'm not looking for it. I'm not focused on it because I'm so focused on all the crap in the world and in my life. I'm not focused on like all the good stuff that I want. Cause I tell myself, I want that, but I know I can't have it because of this, and this. Right.
Yes, it's keeping yourself at that vibration where it's above 400. I don't know if you've been
Yeah.
introduced to the maps of consciousness,
Yes.
because a lot of this victim mentality, or I think guilt or shame, is the level that the lowest level. That's the densest of all. And for us, of course, we're human, so we fluctuate, right? Among all the endless or Jesus or Buddha or yeah, we're here at the enlightenment stage, but
Yeah.
we should strive that. And that map was actually one of my compass for when I moved, the way I moved through life at one point, because I was going in through astronomy, astrology, Carl Jung, Jungian theologies, everything, Western philosophy. I dove into all of that. And so what I have learned, or what I have understood about myself, what is it that I want to be, at least reach at a certain point, is inner peace. Because I know nobody, doesn't matter if it's storm around me, what's happening, as long as, because to be honest, nobody can affect you if only if you let them affect you. So it's like having this protective energetic boundaries that you have with yourself, but also knowing that, oh, okay, as you're working on yourself, you're distilling, you become more discerning and more assertive of which one to accept, which one not to accept into your life. It's the beauty of working on yourself, because only then you'll be able to pour back into your truest, highest self to the people around you and the people that you work with.
Well, yeah, it's about like, why am I here on this world, on this planet, in this world in the first place, right? Like, what do I
Exactly.
believe? Then I need to like put my money where my mouth is. If I believe what I believe, then I
Walk the
need to
talk.
do it. I show myself, do it. Yeah. Or am
I
I just
love
here
that.
to exist? Am I just here to exist, make money, retire, enjoy my retirement, and then die? I mean,
And
okay, fine. If
is
that's
that
okay for
all?
you, but
I mean,
yeah,
have you ever actually sat with yourself and then really savor, for example, just a piece of chocolate that you really love? I mean, just take a walk down the park or whatever, or look at the sunshine. Like today, just before this interview, a quick detour.
yeah,
I was just hanging up all of my clothes that I hand wash, because these are very delicate pieces. So I hand wash, and then I saw the sun just shining down. It was yesterday, shining down on those clothes, and I felt it. And they're all dry. And I said, you know what? What would happen if there's no sun? We would die.
yeah,
So me doing that work has actually allowed me to really appreciate every single thing that we take for granted. And I used to be like you, go go go, getting to a next job just for a higher position because I was going after the money, and I got it. But then after, when I got my divorce, that was when the tower moment came down, and like, okay, Nick, your false beliefs, whatever that you believed before, it's no longer working for you. So yeah.
yeah.
So
And you have to be careful because you might run a bunch of people over in the process of your accomplishments, and you don't even realize it.
I did burn some people, and
You know?
having my sister come to me and say, I remember her telling me, Nick, you're so selfish. And then, right, I think 3 years, that was 10 years ago. So like last month she got married, and I was there, and she was like, and she gave me this speech. So I gave her a speech, and then she gave her, I couldn't bring myself to read the speech. I think we had a moment of silence for about 1 minute because I couldn't open my mouth. Just how grateful I am to still be here and celebrate that beautiful moment with her.
That's awesome.
So it was really, I love my job now, and I love me.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Patrick.
It's awesome.
So
Makes a big difference.
it does. So what are you working on currently? What's exciting?
Well, like you said, getting married. I've haven't been doing a whole lot more. I've just had a few more podcasts come out. So just kind of, edit in some of those so I could put those on social media, on Instagram and stuff, to try to, just get the message out there and, try to get some attraction going some more. Um, I released a second online free course a little while ago about, you know, basically like helping for women mostly to help the man in their life who's struggling and like how to go about doing that. So I've gotten a lot of good feedback on that. It's on my website. So I've gotten a lot of good feedback with that. So, I've had some ideas for another course. So, I'll probably get around to it eventually, but with the wedding stuff and some of my other hobbies and my work and,
Yeah,
you know,
I had to.
stuff. It's hard to fit it in.
Exactly. I had to put some of my work, my podcasting too, on hold for like 3 weeks because I
Yeah.
gotta help her. But right now, slowly getting backtracked. So I'm pretty sure you'll get back on it, Patrick.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, we're gonna pivot to a self-worth question. I think you did answer this to some degree, but to some extent, but there's no right or wrong answer. So here it goes. Can exploring existential questions and embracing spirituality help in overcoming feelings of self-doubt and inadequacy? If yes, how so?
Can they help? Well, yeah, because if I come to believe in a spiritual existence and some sort of spiritual higher power, hopefully it's going to be something that involves love. So hopefully I'm
It's a
going
good
to,
one.
for me, get the unconditional love maybe I didn't feel that I got, right, growing up, or
Mhm.
maybe feel I don't get in my day-to-day life. So like for me, that's getting that from a higher power. That the cool part is I can talk to source energy, God, Buddha, Jesus, whatever the case is, anytime, any day. I don't have to have a certain,
Control.
religious structure for it. I don't have to be on my knees. I don't have to be in a church. I can do it behind the wheel of my car. I can, go a few miles from my house and walk the beach and do it. Like I can do that anywhere. I can have that conversation. For me, that's really ebbed and flowed and fluctuated over the years with what I believe in to be my higher power and creative intelligence of the universe. And that relationship has changed. And the cool thing about it is that relationship, I can turn my back on that relationship and then I can always go right back to it. And I always feel embraced and warmth and love. I can,
Ooh.
I can use profanity. I can cuss that thing out. I can say, why me again? And why this and all that. And then I can go right back to it and feel the warm embrace and love and
This is
goosebumps all over again. And it's like, well, guess what? The guy that I see in the mirror every single morning when I wake up, the same thing. Because I've turned my back on him time and time again, but then he's always there. And I always see those dark brown eyes in the mirror, and I can smile and say, I love you, man. And I can do the Ho'oponopono prayer and say, please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you.
thank you.
I can take care of myself.
Wow, you have come a long way, Patrick.
Yeah,
You've
not bad
come
for
a
a
long way.
19-year-old heroin
Yeah.
junkie. Not bad.
Wow. Not bad indeed,
I've had
Patrick.
all the right people, and that's it. I've had all the right people in my life, just one after another. It's nothing that I did. It's just I had just all the right circumstances, and I had the right opportunities to be able to say, oh, I'm going to accept the help or not. I don't think God wanted me to get sober more than He wanted the next person who is not alive today because they couldn't get sober. I don't think God thinks I'm more special than that person. I think I just took, I had the gift of desperation. We all have that, and I took hold of it. I said, the heck with this. I'm going to hold on to this no matter what and stick with it. I don't think the God that I believe in doesn't choose people to be alive and not alive. I think we all get the opportunities, and it's up to us to take advantage of it or not.
Thank you. So, Patrick, what is your heart's greatest wish?
Peace, just peace for everybody, not just myself. Just inner peace. Heart's greatest wish is what would be really cool is just to be able to like just touch somebody, physically touch somebody, and then just say, "Here, have peace. Here, have peace. Here, have peace." Like that would be awesome. So to somehow
That's
spread
a good
peace
one.
in some kind of easy, simplified way.
Well, thank you.
Of
If you
course,
could, if you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening, and the world as your legacy, what would it be, Patrick?
don't. Let's say something along the lines of, don't be don't ever be afraid to ask for help, no matter where you are in your life. You're never too high or too low to be helped.
How can people reach out to you then?
Probably the website's best, patrickcaseyjr.com, Patrick Casey, CASEYJR.com. On there, again, two of my online courses, free online courses are on there, the videos you can watch. I have a link to like the YouTube with Instagram, podcasts I've been on, my emails on there, my Instagram to Patrick Casey Jr. at Patrick Casey JR, my Instagram. So you can see a lot of my cool stuff on Instagram, a lot of the hobbies we do. I do boxing and soccer and, just a lot of the fun stuff that we do. All that stuff's on Instagram that you can see. It's a lot of cool stuff.
Awesome. I'll be
Yeah.
sure to include them in the show notes. So
Awesome.
any last message before we wrap this interview up?
No, I think I've said enough. I just want everybody to know that like don't do it alone. I think my belief is recovery, whether it's drugs and alcohol, whether it's you want to recover from self-worth, whether you want to recover from whatever self-destructive thing you have going on that you can't get rid of. It's not a situation. It's a we situation. It takes a group. It's a fellowship. You're not going to do it. If you could have done it yourself, you would have done it already. If you could have got yourself out of your jam, you would have done it already. Ask for help. We. It's all about we.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Well,
Yep.
that is a wrap on today's inspiring episode with Patrick Casey Jr. Thank you, Patrick, for the work that you do for the people around you and the world, and for continuing to uplift them with your work. Now, for all listeners, this has been your Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. And if you've ever felt worthless, remember, you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here, to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. A huge thank you to you again, Patrick, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nick Nieras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember, you are enough and you are worthy. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Patrick, for your time.
Thank you.
Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to @holistic.lifestyle_with_Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.deniqueras.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check on your soul path. And if you're also wanting to check on your energetic alignment, I have done that too. And I offer that kind of services. So, my question to you is, are you ready? Because I am. Let's create your lives.
Good evening to you, Patrick. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Nicolette. Thank you very much. How are you? I guess it's good morning to you.
Yes, it is good morning to me. Thank you so much, Patrick, for saying yes to be interviewed today and for coming on to my show. I'd like to introduce myself to you formally and to all of the listeners tuning in for the first time and all returning subscribers. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, today we're going to talk about recovery from addiction and working through self-hate. Ooh, it's a very strong word.
Mm-hmm.
It's a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. Hence, that's why I named my podcast that, You're Worthless, because that was the narrative that I had. Oh, before we start, I'd like to introduce you to all of our listeners and then we can get right into our conversation. Hello, everyone. We have Patrick Casey Jr. here with us. Patrick is an advanced registered nurse practitioner and personal coach who has been sober and in recovery since the age of 19. He has 7 years of experience working in substance abuse treatment. Now his mission is to provide men with a new structured process and a safe place where they can be vulnerable. In his words, I help men riddled with self-hate, worry, and insecurity transform self-destructive patterns so they can experience self-love, respect, and joy. Welcome to the show, Patrick.